Hello, my name is Isabella, and welcome to my reading recap. Big spoiler warning now. If you hear a title that you don't want spoiled, skip ahead or click away. Any trigger warnings I can think of, I'll list in a comment below. Number 1, Snail Mail No More by Anna Martin and Paula Danziger. I gave 2.5 out of 5. Another reread and the sequel to P.S. Longer Letter Later that I featured in my last reading recap. The girls are 13 now, and they have email and can communicate much faster. This starts immediately after the previous book, and they finalize their plans for Elizabeth to come visit Tara. While there, we get emails of her to her friends back home, and then it follows the main girl's emails through July to around February. Elizabeth's dad is being erratic, drunk, and flaky. He keeps standing them up. Tara is running around, taking rides with new drivers and getting grounded, and going to 13-year-old drunken parties where all the little teeny boppers get drunk on beer and puke all over some kid's parents' carpet. When she tells Elizabeth about this, she gets upset and they don't talk for a couple of weeks and realize they're very different people now. They reconcile, and then Elizabeth's dad suddenly gets into a drunken car crash and dies. Tara visits for a weekend to attend the funeral and be there for Elizabeth, and that's it. This one is definitely aged up a bit from the last one. Number 2, Hooked by Emily McIntyre. 0 out of 5. I'm a huge fan of Peter Pan. It's my favorite classic Disney film. I watch any adaptation of it that I come across, but this is severely disappointing. Hook was molested by his uncle and then murders him, which rightfully so, but also ew. Why throw that into a Peter Pan story? He sees Wendy and thinks about wanting to fuck her in graphic detail. I think Peter is her father in this, and Hook has him trapped. There's a very detailed description of a blowjob, and the word slurping was used, and I gave up at 8%. No. Not into Peter Pan porn, or porn of any kind for that matter. This is just not my cup of tea. I'm immediately running away from this abomination. Number 3, Traffick by Ellen Hopkins. I gave 1 out of 5. 1 is being generous here. As a teen, Ellen Hopkins was my favorite author, but I've lost interest in her more recent work. And it's to the point I don't think I'd even like her older books at this point in my life anymore. I read Tricks when it came out, but only remembered it was about prostitution. This is the sequel to that. More so the aftermath of prostitution and human trafficking. There's a ton of sexual assault, physical assault, and rape. It's not a fun read at all. They're all teens, by the way. Some are in a home for people in their situation. Some had gone to places that abused them more. Some relapsed on drugs. One became paralyzed. It's all sad and disturbing. We shouldn't shame sex workers, but let's not praise this line of work either. It's impossible to stay safe with it, and it's damaging in multiple ways to everyone involved. Number 4, A Midsummer's Night Dream, a Shakespeare story by Andrew Matthews and Tony Ross. I gave 2 out of 5. This is a raw dollified version of the story by William Shakespeare. It's okay, nice to read the story in an easier format to consume since Shakespeare's original style can be hard to comprehend sometimes, but it's not really great either. Number 5, Dune, the graphic novel, Book 2, Muad'Dib by Frank Herbert, Brian Herbert, and Kevin J. Anderson. I gave, out of 5. I misplaced this twice and ended up reading this over the span of 7 months, so I didn't retain much, and as a result, I have no idea what to rate this. I'll probably reread it later. I love the Dune series. The novels can get difficult for me to digest, so I do appreciate the series being made into graphic novels. So now there's 4 ways for me to consume it: novel, audiobook, film, and graphic novels. I recommend it for any fan of the series or graphic novels in general. Number 6, Girl in Pieces by Kathleen Glasgow. I gave 1.5 out of 5. I almost loved this at times, but some parts really aggravated me, so I can't really rate it any higher. Even this feels too generous. This starts with Charlie in a hospital setting for suicidal people of all forms. She's a cutter who was living a rough life. Her mom beat her, she was homeless for a while, some guy tried to rape her, and the guys who saved her from him essentially sold her body for drugs. She had a friendship triangle with a guy named Mikey, who she has a crush on, and Ellis, who is her best friend and also the apple of Mikey's eye. The way some parts of this are written sound like Charlie is more in love with Ellis, but okay. Ellis decides to copy Charlie's cutting, but cuts too deep and gets put into an even more intense home. Charlie gets released from the hospital fairly quickly due to lack of insurance. The medical system is great, huh? She's supposed to be released to her mom, but her mom only pretends to pick her up and really just tells her to go away. Mikey invited her to stay with him in Arizona, but he's on tour currently. She stays at his place alone briefly, but the landlord lady pushes her to get out because she's a cutter and her son had killed himself, and the landlord thinks Charlie having her own place will be helpful? Excuse me, what? Fuck this lady. That would make me break, not help me. She was already abandoned by her mom and now she's getting kicked out of here? No, not helpful. Charlie gets a job at a restaurant nearby and moves into the lowest of low-income buildings. She starts doing drug runs for her coworker Riley and starts having sex with him and staying over at his place where it feels safer. He nearly hits her, he's barely conscious most of the time, kind of implies to have sex with him or get lost, so she does have sex with him in his sister's office, aka her boss. He's drunk and high and barely remembers or asks her anything. A friend, Blue, from the hospital visits and annoyingly flirts with Riley. Later, she tells Charlie she'll just flirt with him, but won't fuck him. What the fuck? No. How about you leave? Surprisingly, she actually doesn't fuck him, and Charlie and her stay friends the entire book. Having girlfriends is hard. Charlie deserves better. One day, Charlie can't find Blue and goes to Riley's where Blue is there and she's doing hard drugs with him, and Riley's in the kitchen fucking some junkie, and it's the cringiest scene ever. He tells Charlie that this is who he is as he's fucking the girl still, and the girl is looking over and laughs at Charlie. That junkie also randomly breaks into Charlie's place and destroys her stuff. Mikey has came back and brought Charlie out only to kiss on some girl, and that's how he tells her he has a new girlfriend. Can you be a little more sensitive? Jesus. Charlie's upset and gets drunk, which she promised him she wouldn't do. He keeps asking her why she's upset, this dense, dumb ass. She kisses him and he kisses back for a second and then pulls away and wipes off the kiss. Later he says he only wiped it off because she tasted like alcohol, which was triggering for him. He also tells her not to be with Riley. He's a little helpful, sure, but he's also weirdly controlling, like making sure she doesn't die, but also constantly telling her that she's too much to be around. Dude, just let her fucking go. Then he goes off and elopes with his girlfriend, which Charlie finds out about at work and ends up puking for 4 days. He could have told her himself if he's gonna insist on being in her life anyway. I just do not like this guy at all, and I originally thought I was going to love him. She gets an opportunity to work for an artist she knows. I was half paying attention at this point because it was getting so bad. She moves to do that job, but has some goodbyes first. Mikey's all rubbing it in her face that he's married and mentions he stopped by and saw Ellis, and it seems like she's really in her body now. Charlie sees Riley perform and he dedicates a song he wrote about her, apologizing for things, and mentions kinda being on a sobriety journey. He plays the song and jumps down to hold her hand, lock eyes, and slips her a note before getting back on stage. The note is brief, apologizes, and wishes her the best. It's confusing because in the song he says he gave her all of the love that he had. He's just too fucked up that he didn't have much to give. That much makes sense, but a fan in the crowd yells that she wants to have his babies, and he says, "Did you not hear the dedication before the first song?" Which made me think he was gonna try and make up with Charlie, but he doesn't. I guess it could have been more so a warning. I don't know. The junkie sex scene and Blue's character as a whole really turned me away from this book. Plus, everyone is constantly so mean to Charlie. I felt uncomfortable the entire time. Number 7, The Unwanteds by Lisa McMahon. I gave 2.5 out of 5. I picked up the 6th book in this series at a library sale, not realizing that it's the 6th book, so here I am. It's heavily advertised as Harry Potter meets the Hunger Games, and whoever is putting that on all of the books either hasn't read either of those series or benefits from the sales of these books. I found that the source of that comparison is from Kirk's Reviews, but I can't find the exact reviewer. I was so bored with this that I had to listen to it twice to try to retain anything. Some kids are deemed unwanted, which already is horrible. They call other people wanted or necessaries. This gives more the giver vibes than Harry Potter. The Unwanteds are sent to a farm to be executed on their 13th birthdays. In my elementary school, we had to flip a card if we did something bad. I was once framed and had to flip a card for someone else's actions, and I'm still mad about it. In this world, if you do something bad, you get a strike. 3 strikes and you're deemed unwanted, aka you get sent out for slaughter. This book sounds more tough than it is. It reads like the Chronicles of Narnia series. Our main character is Alex, who is a twin to Aaron. Alex is unwanted and Aaron is wanted. Aaron goes off to university to train to be a leader. He's 13, but okay. Alex and the group of kids sent to be killed end up in a secret land where Mr. Today has created a magical land to train them in their magical abilities. It ends with Alex's world and Aaron's world battling, but I don't feel like anyone really won. Number 8, Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I gave 3 out of 5. This has the plot of a Hallmark novel with a slight flip on their outcomes, but still has the vibe, so I enjoyed it. Nora is a city girl who loves living in New York. After her mother died, she turned down her dream job of editing and stayed as a literary agent so she could help hold her sister together. Her sister Libby is a mom and pregnant with her 3rd child, but she last minute invites Nora on a 3-week trip to the town of Sunshine Falls. Once they arrive, Libby presents a list of things they should do in town, like date a local, help out a small business, the usual Hallmark tropes. They refer to everything like that as romance novel tropes, but they scream more Hallmark to me. Maybe they didn't want to name drop Hallmark. I don't know. Anyway, Nora runs into Charlie, a somewhat snobby editor that she tried to get to edit one of her author's books 2 years prior. They flirt a bit, edit a book together, and fall in love because of course they do. Only she later finds out that he's planning on staying in town. He's actually originally from Sunshine Falls. He's not returning to New York. He's all up for long distance, but she's cynical and says no. Her sister says she's moving with her family to Sunshine Falls and planned the whole trip to try and convince Nora to want to move too, but she doesn't. She's given Charlie's editing position back in New York. Later, Libby surprises Nora by sending her Charlie. Charlie was moving back home to help with his family's bookstore, but Libby stepped in and is helping instead, so Charlie's moving back to New York and going to be with Nora. I don't love this, but it's fun. I love Hallmark-style cheese. I like that, unlike with Hallmark, the girl didn't have to give up her entire life and dreams just to be with a guy. I do find it weird that the sister knew those 3 weeks could have been her last with her sister, but still spent hardly 2 minutes with her the entire trip. She was very confident that her small-town bucket list would do the trick. I suppose her optimism is cute. This is a bit more sexual than Hallmark, but it's no 50 Shades of Grey, so it's not too overbearing, and I'm not scared off this author yet, but I could still live without any sex scenes. Number 9, Before We Were Innocent by Ella Berman. I gave 1 out of 5. This one is pretty dumb. A group of girlfriends who all seem to kind of hate each other went on a trip as teens, and one girl kisses another of the girl's brothers. He makes plans to come back in 2 weeks and see her. The girls go out and the sister falls and dies. Johnny, the not sister and not kisser friend, she runs over and tells the kisser friend, Bess, to lie and say they were all together when Evangeline fell, so no one would get suspicious. This is like an episode of Pretty Little Liars. Their lies backfire though, and they get arrested for murder anyway. They're stuck in Greece for a while until they're all finally released and able to go back to America because they don't have enough evidence to prove that they killed the girl. They also happen to go back to party at some big sex trafficker's house on accident, so their story gets out and everyone thinks Johnny and Bess tried to sex traffic Evangeline, who's a virgin, while the other 2 girls are not. They message each other about the sexcapades often, and I don't get why that's the suspicion route the author chose here. Evangeline hated that Bess wanted her brother. I think she was in love with him and wanted him herself. So she pretended like Bess was forcing her to go out even though it was the other way around. She even texted her brother and said, "If I die, you know who to blame." So the brother gets questioned and points to the girls because his sister had manipulated things. He tried talking to Bess, but Johnny wouldn't allow it. Fast forward 10 years, and now Johnny is big on social media from telling her story and has a book coming out, and her girlfriend is missing, which is making the public talk about the last case again. Bess stays with her a while, but then finds the missing girl's phone in Johnny's possession. Eventually, Bess finds out that with Evangeline, Johnny actually was there when she fell, and I think she could have stopped it, but didn't, so she could have a story. I hated this and barely paid attention. Bear with me, please. Then her current girlfriend was having an affair, and she got into a physical altercation with her the night she went missing. Her body is found later, but it's never revealed if Johnny actually killed her or what happened. A dumb ending for a dumb book. Number 10, The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. I gave 3.5 out of 5. I've seen this book often at stores and seen the show advertised on Prime, but the title sounded too bubbly for me, but I've been in the mood for that recently, so I finally took the plunge. Isabella, who goes by Belly, what an unfortunate nickname during puberty. I had a similar one, and I doubt it did my body dysmorphia any favors. She visits her family beach cabin every summer, spending its entirety there with her mom's friend, and the mom's friend's 2 sons, Conrad and Jeremiah, and Belly's brother Stephen for a while. I don't think he goes there anymore though. They all stay in the same cabin. It flashes back and forth a lot to her preteen years and the present year, which I think is her being 16. I was busy while listening to this, so I may not have all of the exact details here. Every summer, the boys kind of ignore her a bit. They'd throw her in the pool and tease her on her birthday, but whenever they'd go out, they'd tell her she can't go. Rude. She gets her first kiss from Jeremiah, who steals it in a game of truth or dare, which is kind of heartbreaking. She thinks about how she wanted it to be so special and he just stole it when she wasn't expecting and didn't want it. One year, she goes to the movies with one of them on a sort of date. I think that was Jeremiah too, but she loves Conrad. One year, her friend comes along, and she works her way through all of the boys, and then Belly catches her making out with her brother Stephen. Having girlfriends is so hard. I will never stop saying that. Sometimes they make out with your crush, your backup crush, your brother, their brother, you just never know. During the present-day summer, Conrad is being all distant and moody for months, and Belly starts seeing a guy from town, Cam. He's cringily straight edge, which makes sense considering this book was released in 2009. I'm one to talk, though. I had a belt that said straight edge back in the day before I realized you can just not partake in drugs and alcohol without putting a title on it and buying merch. He's kind of sweet, but very timid. They kiss a little and go on a few dates, but it's clear she likes Conrad more, so they just kind of fizzle out. He calls her, saying to call him back if she'd like to keep in touch, and she ignores it. Jeremiah seems to be nice to her, remembering her birthdays and sticking up for her at times. But he also kissed her friend when she came that one summer, and I can't forgive him for stealing her first kiss like that. At the end of the summer, Belly confronts Conrad on why he's being a dick, and she's thinking, oh my gosh, he's so jealous that I'm seeing someone else, when really his mom has fucking cancer. I wanted to crawl under a rock out of secondhand embarrassment. Later, they cry together, and he's all upset, and she kisses him. Can you not? He kisses back, but then pulls away and says he thinks about her sometimes, but this isn't how it should happen. Yeah, duh. Then after summer, I think sometime in winter, they see each other and the book ends. I wouldn't say it's a good book. I like cutesy, dumb teen trash sometimes, and that's exactly what this is. Makes me feel better about my choices. That's all for now. See you next time. Happy reading!